Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Land of Brand Laboratory, or as I like to call it, the LOBoratory for short. And if you've never joined us before, then welcome. We're so glad to have you. This is a free community call that I do every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time. And while it is fun for you to be here live because you can ask questions and it is a community call, so if you have things that you want to bring up that are relevant to the topic, you want to get my feedback on, or you have questions, that's totally available to you. In the webinar platform at the top of your screen, there should be a little chat bubble. If you click on that, you can chat, and I can see your what you have to say. You guys can talk to each other, tell us where you're from. These are just fun calls, and usually they last about 30 minutes depending on the topic and how far in depth we go and if there's any discussion afterwards. If you can't be live, that's okay too. There will be replays available. And if you have a topic that you'd like to see, you can email me, holly@thelandofbrand.com, and I will get it on the calendar for you. I am currently working on the April calendar. So if you have a topic you want to see in the next month, get into me soon because those will be posted just in the next couple of days. All right. So today is going to be a kind of a nerdy topic. So obviously at the Land of Brand, I do a lot of website design, website strategy. And I'm finding that trends are really changing a lot when it comes to internet marketing, but the traditional homepage design and the goals for the homepage have not been changing. So I've been testing some theories in the Land of Brand. Unfortunately, I do not have a lot of data yet, but I am working on our current homepage, or our new homepage rather, which probably you won't see for a little while, but really going to try some kind of new approaches to making your website work for you. So today what I'm going to share with you is the kind of 3 different pathways that I see for your homepage and the theory behind each of them and how I'm seeing them play out. And really the underlying message here is that maybe your opt-in offer is not the main focus of your homepage, which if you're a past or current client of mine, you're probably gasping right now because you know that we designed your homepage around the opt-in offer. And if this is something that you've heard before, then this may take you by surprise. But I think that things are changing. So we're going to talk about some of those changes, where that's coming from, and how you can adapt to stay ahead of the curve and get the most out of your homepage. So today, we're going to talk about why your homepage might still be stuck in the Stone Age, even if you just had it designed. Sorry. Homepage strategies you can steal from the top internet marketers, plus how to make them even better. So we're going to critique a couple homepages that are of people you've probably heard before. I'd be happy to look at. I wasn't able to find examples for everything. So if as I'm going you guys have examples you want me to look at, put them in the chat. I'd love to see them. Why your opt-in may no longer be the thing to feature on your homepage, and how to choose the homepage strategy that is right for your business. Basically, homepage strategy is not a one-size-fits-all thing. Depending on where you are in your business, what type of business you have, and what your goals are, your strategy is going to change. So we're going to talk about how do you make those decisions and which one is going to work best for you. So how many of you have heard that every website needs an opt-in offer? That you need to build your list. That needs to be your #1 priority. And that your opt-in offer has to be front and center when you land on the site. Above the fold, you need to have it in the sidebar, down at the footer. You have to have all these different ways for people to opt in. And if you don't get people on your list, they're never going to come back to your site. Well, I know that I have preached all of these at one point or another. So if you're in my community, then you've probably heard this. And even if you haven't been in my community until now, I'm sure you've heard this because it's conventional logic. It's what we've been operating by for the last, I've been in business for 7 years now, and this is what we've been hearing, at least for that long. And it all makes sense, except things are changing. People are not opting in for things the way they used to. And I've noticed this at the Land of Brand. I've noticed this with many of my clients. I've heard this from colleagues, that things are changing. Email marketing is changing. How people are consuming content is changing. How you're engaging people is changing. But the thing I don't see is a lot of people doing anything about those changes. So nowadays, it's not enough to have just a tip sheet or just some type of white paper, or something kind of like a throwaway piece of content that you create just for the opt-in offer, and have people actually put in their email address for it. We get hundreds of emails a day. I read a statistic recently that the average adult gets about 140 emails per day. We don't want more email. I don't want to sign up for your newsletter. I know that when I opt in for that top 10 whatevers, that I'm going to be put on your newsletter. You have to earn my trust first. I have to be interested in what it is you're doing. So on one hand, people are getting less opt-ins. People are being more stingy with giving out their email address. But on the other hand, probably the opt-ins you're getting might be of a higher quality because those are people that are really interested in what you do, and they know they're going to be hearing from you, and they want to hear from you. The other thing is that there are new ways to follow up with people without an opt-in. And this is something that not everyone is aware of because it's really kind of it's up and coming over the last year. And that is Facebook targeting, or not just Facebook, but any retargeting. Basically, there are ways to track people that have been on your site and keep showing up in front of them as they surf the Internet. It's a little creepy, but it does mean that you can get people back to your site without the opt-in. So that conventional logic of, if you don't get them to opt in and give you their email address, they're going to forget who you are and never come back to your site, that no longer applies. You can keep showing up in front of them. You can keep staying top of mind, even if they haven't given you their email address. This opens up a whole slew of opportunities for other ways for you to be leveraging your website. So let's talk about your homepage, because that's really what today is about. I mean, I can go into all kinds of website strategy, marketing strategy, etc. But today we're focused on strictly the structure of your homepage. So your homepage has threefold purpose. This is the page on your site that's going to be viewed the most. It's the biggest piece of real estate. It's the most important aspect of your website. It has to do three things. One is to let your prospects know that they're in the right place. So immediately, within just a few seconds of landing on your page, they need to know who you serve and the problem you solve. And it has to fit their criteria. So basically, your homepage needs to draw the right people in. It has to establish your brand. So setting the tone of your brand, it creates a feeling. I know immediately if I think you're credible or not. Does this website look like it was just thrown together? Do you look like an amateur? Do you look like a professional? Do you look like you really know what you're doing? And why are you the best choice? So what makes you different than everyone else out there? So there's two stages here. One is that first impression of, oh yes, I'm in the right place. This person has what I need. And two, they seem like they're pretty good at it. So that's like stage one. Stage one, that first impression. And then stage two, as they're now reading your homepage, they need to know what makes you different. That might take a little bit more explanation. So this is where you've drawn them into your page, and now I have the space and the time to get a little more in depth into why you. And then the third purpose of your homepage is to get that prospect to take one teensy little step. Traditionally, that has been for them to opt in. I'm going to present you with a couple different options for what that teensy step could be. So obviously, opting in, I already mentioned that. So becoming a part of your community, getting some kind of freebie. Second option would be contacting you and or buying something. So, maybe your call to action is a book now button, some kind of consultation. And I'm not implying that you should be using a consultation as an opt-in. These are two completely different things. But depending on the type of service you have, getting people to contact you might be more important than getting them on your list. And we're going to talk about why that is in a little bit. The third possible next step, and this is becoming my favorite, and we're going to talk more in depth about this, is showing you what they're interested in. So basically using your homepage to segment your audience. So what does that mean to segment your audience? Well, many of us have multiple levels within our target audience, multiple avatars. So while I work mainly with coaches and service providers, that is my target audience, there's different levels within that market, different avatars where they're looking for different things. Some of my clients just want that brand strategy. They need to know what it is that makes them different, how to talk about what they do, convey their value. They need to understand kind of the underpinnings of their business and how to draw people into their brand. Others are looking for design. They're ready to start expressing that brand in a website design that has all of this underlying strategy behind it so that they can really leverage their online presence. Other people are coming to me just because they are working on a particular project or they need to make a shift in their brand. So they want to start attracting a different audience. They're not enjoying working with the clients that they're attracting right now. Or sometimes they've outgrown their brand and it's time for them to kind of freshen up their message and they'll dive off into a new direction in their business and they need help navigating that shift. So for us, or me, there's 3 different avatars there. So that's why our new homepage is going to segment who's coming to that page based on what it is they need. And I'm going to show you some examples of what that looks like. And that might not work for everyone. I mean, if you're starting out, you're probably not going to have, or you should not have, a lot of different avatars that you're working with. You should be really focused on one niche, one audience. And you might only have one offer. So even some of these top marketers that I'm going to show you that could be utilizing this strategy, they're not because they only have really one offering. So let's look at some examples from some big name experts and how you can steal their ideas and make them better. So there's a few critiques that I have on these different ideas. And I'm going to show you how to leverage them. So just moving my handy dandy browser over to the screen that you guys can see. So this is bookyourselfsolid.com. I'm going to show you basically examples that fall into each of the 3 different calls to action we were just talking about. So the first one is this website is completely geared toward the opt-in. As you can see, as soon as I landed on the site, I get a pop-up. Yes, I want this. It's one way to get an opt-in. Second, the whole home page is all about this free cheat sheet and getting you to click on that so that you opt in. If I go further into the site, you'll notice that the opt-in is always front and center. This is what you're going to see through most websites, especially since most of you are probably in the coaching industry, speaking, authors, like you're the expert industry. This has been the conventional logic for the last few years, so pretty much every website you look at is going to have this as the primary goal. Even the websites we design. So this is Brave Girl Wellness. Again, establishing the brand message, opt-in is the main call to action. So, and if I could show you a whole slew of sites that use this as the main call to action. And as I said, there's not necessarily anything blatantly wrong with this. It's been the way things work. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Someone said that my sound is garbled. I apologize. So lost my train of thought. One back up. This has been how websites have been designed for quite a while now. And I think that we're going to start seeing a shift in how these sites are laid out. So the second option, I couldn't actually find a lot of examples of websites where the primary call to action was either to contact you or to book now. But basically what it would look like, well, I'll show you this one first. This is Milana's new site. So Milana Lashinsky, many of you have probably heard of her. This is her homepage, and basically all it is establishing, again, who she is, what she does, what her brand is, and contacting her if you want to talk to her, basically. But then she also has links that go to her kind of her offerings websites. But this could easily, taking a website like this or even Book Yourself Solid, this option could easily be replaced with some kind of book now or some kind of contact button. And you know, you're probably thinking, well, everyone has told me that that's too much of a leap for people when they first land on your site, and that you need to warm them up first. And that is true. That is true. So I would probably structure the homepage a little bit differently if that was going to be the main goal, the main call to action, because we want to earn that trust first. And actually, the way I want to start structuring homepages, even if the main call to action is an opt-in offer, is to earn that trust up front. Again, like you need to earn that trust, build that relationship now, even just to have someone opt in with you. So that logic of, you know, people are not going to take that action right away when they land on a site is true for both. And it's really about how you go about leading up to that offer, leading up to that call to action is going to make all the difference. All right, so this is Eben Pagan's site. Eben Pagan is a very well-known internet marketer, coach, and he is doing the segmenting approach. I'm going to actually show you three websites that are using this approach. Because like I said, I think this is going to be the future of how we're marketing ourselves online. And that is by segmenting people based on what it is they're interested in, and then tailoring follow-up sequences and tailoring the content to their specific interest for a couple of reasons. One, technology now that we're using for our autoresponders and those follow-up sequences can do that. A few years ago, we couldn't do that. Now we have Infusionsoft, Ontraport, Office Autopilot, and even Aweber is starting to do this now. The capabilities for how we follow up with people is changing. How we manage our email is changing. So we want to have a customized experience. We don't want to be receiving messages that are not relevant to us anymore. So as marketers, which as business owners we all are, we need to start adapting to that change. So on Eben's site, he says, grow your business, profit, and income. Which do you want to grow today? So basically right away you're choosing which stage of business you're at. So then he can tailor the follow-up to each. So if you click on any of these, there's a pop-up that has an opt-in offer that is tailored to that thing that you needed. So still the main call to action here is still an opt-in. We're still building our list, but it's done in a little bit of a different way. One way that Eben could improve on this would be, and I'm sure this is something that would need to be tested, because you might get more opt-ins because it's a popover versus going to a different page. But one way that you could really leverage this would be to take them to a landing page with this offer. That way you could pixel them. So that's putting that little marker on their browser that they were on that page, and then you could retarget those people if they did not opt in. So even if they didn't opt in, you could still retarget them on Facebook, through Google, through YouTube, so that as they're searching the web, they're being presented with another opportunity to opt in for that thing that they were looking for, or another opportunity for you to follow up with them based on what it was they were looking at on your site. So that would be one way to make the strategy even cooler. And this is the only thing on this page, basically. Like I said, threefold purpose. You need to know that I'm in the right place, so who it is, who you are, or who you serve, what you do, which is pretty clear if you read the website. Credibility, so our students have been featured in. We have some high-profile testimonials, and that's it. And then main call to action. The next thing I want to show you is Ramit Sethi. He kind of does a combination here. So this, again, front and center, opt-in offer, building the list. But you scroll down, and this is as far as this site goes. Again, we have the credibility pieces. We have an opportunity to segment who's coming to the page. So each of these goes to, again, another opt-in offer. So he does have these going to separate landing pages, so you can pixel people that don't opt in. But so his website is still geared toward solely building that list, or his homepage is geared toward solely building the list. But how he's going about it is a little bit differently. He's still incorporating that segmenting strategy. And if you go to any of his pages, this segmenting is actually at the bottom of each of them, which I think is pretty smart. So then the third and final site that I want to show you that does this segmenting strategy is digitalmarketer.com. So I think I shared with you guys that in February I went to the Traffic and Conversion Summit that was held by Digital Marketer. They're freaking brilliant. And I learned a lot about marketing and building trust and retargeting and all of those strategies. And they are really the masters of this. So I wanted to show you this site because they've actually incorporated all three calls to action to their homepage in a very brilliant way. I don't think many people could actually pull this off. So they start with segmenting. Which traffic conversion engagement, which do you want to boost today? So if you click on any of these, they go to a landing page that has content that's relevant to that topic. Now here's where things get a little interesting, is that they don't actually have an opt-in on that page. So actually let's click on one and we'll go back to the home page. So you can see they have a little bit of copy, free resources, and then instead of an opt-in, they take you to a sales page to purchase their membership. So this website is all about selling the membership. So you'll notice that if you go through this, poke around in the site, pretty much everything's pointing you back to the membership. What could be done differently here is you could put an opt-in offer that's relevant to this content at the bottom. That might be what I would do, but what I have a feeling that their strategy is that now they've pixeled everyone that's come to this page, and I bet they offer an opt-in offer that's relevant to this, whichever offer they clicked on. They're probably offering the opt-in offer on Facebook or wherever else they are retargeting, because their primary purpose for the website is to sell that product. So remember I said that I couldn't find many sites that do it this way. This is one of them that does it very well, that their primary purpose is not the opt-in. Their primary purpose is to sell the program. You see the big Join Now button. No way to opt in right away. At the very bottom, which I'll show you in a moment, there is. But their main purpose is to sell the membership, because they know now that they have you pixeled, they can follow up and try to get an opt-in other ways, or they can follow up and keep in touch with you even if you haven't given them your email address. So next on the home page, now we move into actually trying to sell the membership. So there's a explainer video here that shows their philosophy, kind of what they're all about. So it establishes their brand and why you should choose them. Again, more credibility, more establishing the brand. We're here, ask us anything. That's really what this membership is all about, is getting the information you need from the experts. We have the Join Now button again. Then they have little samples here of what you would find in the membership. And again, this links right back to the sales page. Call to action is join DM, get started. Then we have testimonials. Find out why they love DM, click here. So you see, the primary purpose of this homepage is to sell the membership. Even with the segmenting, the primary purpose is to sell the membership. At the very bottom, they do have an opt-in offer. So if you get all the way to the bottom and you haven't taken action on anything, then they do have, I think this is probably just their most popular opt-in offer. And you'll find this on a lot of the interior pages. So they've actually incorporated all three strategies: segmenting, the book now, contact us, and the opt-in. And they've done it in a way that is not confusing. It's still all a very focused strategy. And I think that this site's really cool, and I know that they're redoing it. I'm waiting for the new site to come out so that we can pick it apart and probably replicate a lot of what they're doing. But this is where internet marketing is headed. This is where homepage design is headed. This segmenting piece is going to be everything. So let's go ahead and go back to the presentation. All right. So how do you choose which approach is right for you? So the three approaches being opt-in, call to book now or contact me, kind of call to action, or segmenting. Because as I've kind of sold segmenting, you're probably like, yeah, that's what I need to do. But it might not be right for you. Not every strategy is going to fit every business. So first of all, you need to know what stage are you in your business. If you are starting out, this is probably going to come as a surprise for many of you. If you are starting out, your primary purpose needs to be to get people on the phone. Your primary purpose is not to build your list right now. I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. And I'm not saying you shouldn't build a list. That's not true at all. But your primary purpose, what you need to be doing now, is getting clients. And I think sometimes we use list building and creating content, creating programs, creating this and that and the other thing, because we are afraid to take the types of actions that are going to actually get us clients, because it requires getting on the phone with them. It requires doing direct outreach and doing those things that make us a little bit uncomfortable. That could be, some of that can be done with your website. I would probably structure things a little bit differently if you're starting out, so that the main call to action is to get on the phone with you, schedule a consultation, give you an opportunity to sell your services through a conversation, because that is the easiest way. Even at the Land of Brand, been in business for 7 years, I still talk to each and every one of my prospects before they actually sign up. So on my services, there are ways to book free consultations. And when we get too busy and can't do that many consultations, we just put barriers up to make it harder for people to book them. Either you put they have to put down a deposit, or you limit the number of slots you have available. There's different ways to mitigate what happens when you get too busy, which I know is a big fear for many people. They're worried that if I start booking all these free consultations, I'm not going to have any time. That's a good problem to have. Let's wait till you have that problem before you try to solve it. For now, focus on getting the consultation. If you are at a point where you have a steady flow of clients, and you have a dependable flow of clients, you know that you're going to be able to book those consultations, then you start shifting your focus to more leveraged activities like building your list. Because at that point you have the critical mass of people. Building your list is going to take a little bit longer. The strategy is going to be a little bit slower. So now that makes more sense. Then as you grow, as you continue to grow, you start adding new offerings, you start targeting new audiences, new avatars, then you need to start thinking about not just building your list, but segmenting your list, building multiple lists that are geared toward your different offerings. So that's why understanding where you are in your business and what your bigger picture strategy is will determine which of these approaches you use. What resources do you have right now? So what do I mean by this? Well, do you have a piece of software that's going to allow you to segment your list and to actually leverage that? Do you have enough content that you could create 3 follow-up sequences, or it doesn't have to be 3, we'll say 2 or more follow-up sequences, without breaking your back trying to create all that content? We don't want you wasting time creating all of this because you're not at the stage of business where you have the resources already at your fingertips. As I'm working on my homepage and we are doing more segmenting and creating different follow-up sequences and that kind of thing, I have all of that content. I've been in business long enough that I have enough pieces to repurpose to create those follow-up sequences, to create those multiple opt-in offers without it taking a lot of time. I'm not creating everything from scratch. That's probably a good indication that you might be ready to do that kind of strategy. Because if you're trying to implement these advanced strategies and you still don't have the true understanding of your audience and what it is you do in your business, it's really not going to work for you anyway. So you need to have that experience under your belt, and you need to have those resources at your fingertips to know that you're going to be able to leverage this the way you should. Where does your current website stand? This is where I was talking about why building your list is probably not going to be your #1 priority when you're starting out, because you're not getting any traffic. An opt-in rate on a homepage, a good opt-in rate on a homepage is like 5%. People test and test and test to get to that. So if you're getting 20 or 30 people to your website per month, which is usually where people are starting out, you're talking about getting like 1 or 2 opt-ins every couple of months. And I have so many people that are, clients that are new in business, and they come to me a couple months later, well, I've only gotten like 5 opt-ins. It's because you're not getting traffic. You haven't built that critical mass yet. You haven't really been marketing yourself yet. You're not getting traction yet. So it's not that the website isn't working, it's that you don't have enough people coming to it. Even if you're getting 100 people per month, 600 people, we're still looking at 5 to 10 or 20 people that are opting in that are going through your sequence. That's not a lot of people. Around 20, 30 per month, that's pretty good. You could probably get a few clients from that. So we're talking like 1%. So I found that when we hit the mark where we were getting about 600 people per month was about when we were getting like 2 clients a month pretty consistently. And that's grown and changed as our business model has changed and how our traffic has changed, that kind of thing. But when you're only getting 100 people per month, you're only getting 5 opt-ins, like that's not enough to sustain your business. And if you're so focused on building your list and just driving traffic, and you're not focusing on getting those bookings and talking to those people and actually getting in front of people to book business, you're going to peter out before you ever actually get off the ground. And then last but not least, where do you want your website to fit within your overall strategy? So, sorry, I'm sitting on something and it's not comfortable. So where do you want your strategy, your website to fit into your overall strategy? And then you can start making shifts into that direction. So for many, people want their website to sell their products for them. And that's not always going to work based on, again, content, resources, how good your copy is, how good your strategy is for building trust, all of that. Or do you want your website just to build that community, build that list, and then the strategy is more on the back end and you're going to sell through email? So think about that. Like where do you want your website to fit in? Do you want it to just be a credibility piece? Do you want it to be just something that you send people to that you've met in person or that you've met through speaking? Or are you going to be using your websites as a core marketing tool where you're just going to drive traffic to it through ads, through SEO, through more passive marketing? So once you understand how you want to market yourself, that will help you determine what type of website strategy you should be implementing. So conclusion, so it looks like I didn't finish this slide. Oops, sorry guys. One website strategy does not necessarily fit all. So this is going to change depending on what type of business you're in, what stage of business you're in, what your current resources are. Trends are changing, and people are behaving differently online. So it's time for us to adapt our strategy. People want different things. People want to experience your website in a different way. People need to be marketed to in a different way. We have to earn trust in different ways. And there are tools that are at our fingertips that most of us weren't even aware of that will allow us to kind of sidestep some of that conventional logic of, I'm never going to see this person again if they don't opt in. It's not necessarily true. There are other ways to follow up with them now. So trends, technology, people are changing. And it's time for you to start looking into how you can adapt with that. That said, another conclusion that's not here is that this can all sound really overwhelming. And there is a lot of, pretty advanced strategy that goes into the thought process behind all of this. So I know that this is not going to be implementable for all of you. But what my goal with this webinar was to kind of raise awareness of what's possible, because you don't know what you don't know. So now that you know some of what you don't know, you can start to kind of noodle on it and see more opportunities for how you could really leverage your website. I also wanted to mention, and I don't have a slide for this, next Friday, April 1st, I'm going to be doing a mini class, so like an intensive. It's going to be probably about 4 hours about how to plan out your website. Like we're going to go through soup to nuts, how you go about planning your websites, what pages you need, how do you structure your home page, what type of content you're going to put where, how do you use your branding pieces. So really like just an intense workshop on planning your new website. Now, this is not a class that's going to be advertised on the Land of Brand website. I might send out an email or two about it because this is for my brand test kitchen participants. So this is going to be like the worst sales pitch you guys have ever heard because I'm not really trying to sell it. I already have 10 people in the course, but I wanted to open it up to the wider community in case you're interested, in case this is a place where you are right now, you're ready to start planning your new website, or you just want to know about the thought process behind it. Basically, it's going to be a round, circa 4-hour webinar. I'm going to transcribe it, create a PDF so you'll have it all in written format with all the exercises and all of that. So if you're interested in that class, you can email me, holly@thelandofbrand.com, and I can get you more information about it. Right now it's priced at $297, and we can do 2 payments because I know it's already at a pretty low price point, but I'm cool with 2 payments because it's happening so soon. So if you're interested, email holly@thelandofbrand.com, and we can talk about that. Next week, so the next week, LOBoratory, we're going to talk about a business tool. So I'm going to try to do like a business tool spotlight once a month to kind of show you different tech tools that you can be using to make your business easier. So this month is going to be Trello. So we're going to talk about how to use Trello to stay organized, whether you are flying solo or if you're managing a team. This tool has been pretty awesome for me. and it's so easy to use. So I think that you guys will get a lot out of that. If you have any topics that you would like to see, you can email holly@thelandofbrand.com, and I will get them on the calendar for you. I'm just going to take a quick look over at the chat. So there's only been Kim in the chat. I don't know if you guys are still having trouble finding the chat box. I need to I'm going to have to find like a training video to send out to everyone, because Zoom is kind of a new platform, and I'm finding it's not as intuitive as some other ones that we've used. So let's see. Kim says, since my work is geared toward new and existing horse owners, I can see how segmentation would work for me. I also think a video on the homepage talking about what you do is good too. That way people can see and hear you. Absolutely. So video is just a great way for people to get to know you, to feel like they can trust you, to put a face to a name. And it's also a very engaging medium for you to talk about what you do and what makes you different. And Kim, you're like fantastic on video anyway, so definitely a great strategy for you. And yeah, so segmenting might not necessarily be only on the stage that they're in. So it might not just be new or existing horse owners, but it might be around a particular problem they're having. So Kim and I have worked together pretty extensively, so I know her business pretty well. So for you, your segments might be something like your horse, the troubling behavior of your horse. So breaking bad habits might be a segment. Another segment might be trail riding, or any particular type of thing that you would be doing with your horse, whether that be showing or trail riding or barrel racing or whatever it is that you specialize in. I'm not quite sure where that is, but you might segment them based on that. So it might be based on a need, not necessarily just where they are in their business. If you look at the Land of Brand, when I was talking about those 3 different segments, it's not necessarily the stage of business they're in. Understanding your brand and kind of pulling together that brand logic and that strategy that underpins everything, that could be for someone that's brand new. And I've had people that are already at 6 or 7 figures that still need to they need help bringing it all together. Website design or graphic design and the visual identity of the brand could be any stage of business. And then the third segment that I was talking about, which is the kind of repositioning or moving your brand in a new direction, that's probably for people that are a little more established. But that's, it's not necessarily just a progression of where people are in their business. So I just want to kind of open up that conversation so that you know that it's not necessarily based on just the stage that someone is at, but looking at, what are they looking for. So with the digital marketer, looking at my other screen so that I can see, there's our driving more traffic, boosting conversions from that traffic, or increasing engagement with the people that have already been converted. So theirs is actually based on the progression of the customer versus the progression of where that particular person is in their business. Awesome. So I don't see any other questions. Oh, hold on. Lauren says, segmentation. My segmented, I didn't know I was doing it, as on what they're looking to do. Ignite goals, accelerate performance, captivate audience, engage through EQ. So does that kind of thing work? Let me look. Ignite goals, accelerate performance, captivate audience, engage through EQ. Then they open to the landing page with the offering that have the call to action. Yes. Yeah, so that's kind of the basis of this strategy is, and I'm noticing that these chats, I think they're only coming to me, so I apologize if you guys can't see them. So yes, that is what we're talking about. So segmenting based on what they're looking for. You can even, even your services page is usually a form of segmentation, where you might just have blurbs about the different types of services you offer, and then when you click on them, it goes to a longer-winded page that explains that service. That can be segmenting. So today I was just talking about your home page, but these types of strategies can be brought throughout the rest of the site in different ways. So on the Land of Brand, the new Land of Brand site, yes, I'm segmenting people from the home page, but then on the interior pages when we're looking at services, if someone clicks on the, that underpinning brand logic segment, they read the service, at the very bottom there will be an opt-in offer that is geared toward taking that a step further if they aren't ready to book yet. If you click on the website design, again, there's going to be an opt-in offer at the bottom of that page geared toward people that are interested in website design. Because they might not be ready to take action right then, but they might be looking for more information, and they might be intrigued enough about us that they want to hear from us and become a part of the community. So don't think that these are just limited to your homepage just because today was all about homepages. And that's why next Friday we're really talking about kind of the whole website, and we're going to take each page one by one and talk about different strategies that you can implement and what that would look like. Wendy says, thank you so much. This is super helpful. I have 3 websites and brands, and I think each of them would require a different approach. That might be true. That probably is true. So that's a good observation, and definitely knowing what your options are will help you leverage each of those sites much better to get better results. Lauren says, during that course, will you refer to our existing new site? Existing new site. Not sure what you mean by that, Lauren. So in this course, what we'll, or the like mini kind of class that I'm doing, it will be geared toward how to leverage each of your, so if you were planning a new site, it's up to you how you apply that. So if you have an existing site, you might just take the principles and implement it into your existing site without creating something brand new. But basically what we're going to be doing is laying out what is the overall strategy. How does everything fit together? And then it'll be up to you on how you implement that, whether that be a completely new website project or if you create a project based on your current site and just what needs to be tweaked in order to implement that new strategy. So for example, with the Land of Brand, we're pretty much mostly just redoing the home page. The interior pages are mostly going to stay the same. Like the design is going to stay the same. I'm going to add a couple bells and whistles, like different opt-in offers and stuff, because I'll have all of them based on what page they're on. But we're not like starting from scratch. We're not starting over, overhauling everything. We're really just kind of restructuring some pieces. So it could go either way if I understood that correctly. Oh, okay. And so she says, in other words, will we actually be seeing our sites as examples or hot seats, so to speak? We might do something like that. I actually haven't written the course yet, so if that's something that people want to do, we might take some examples of examples from the people that are in the course. What I plan on doing is we already have, like I said, I have 10 people in the course. I'm only going to be taking 2 or 3 more. Like I said, this is the worst sales pitch ever because I don't think many people are probably going to sign up, but I already have the people in the course because it's not something I'm promoting. What I want to do with this is create basically I'm creating the recording and the PDF, and that's going to become its own product. So what I'm looking for is I'm going to be looking at each person's business because I'm pretty darn familiar with the 10 people that are in the brand test kitchen and their business, because we basically, over the last 8 weeks, we've fleshed out their entire brand. So we'll be looking at their businesses and what strategies would work best for them and how to implement the brand that they've created during the brand test kitchen. And then for those of you that are not in the brand test kitchen but want to jump in, I'll probably have an intake form for you so that I can get an understanding of your business, where you are, so that I can give you targeted advice and maybe we can do some hot seats and that kind of thing. So yeah, the course can definitely be tailored based on the questions that you guys have and that kind of thing. I have the basic structure of what we're going to be covering, but there will be opportunities for questions after each section basically. So that would be where, if you want to show me your site and get targeted feedback, that would be when you would do that. Lauren also asks, is there any research on whether that homepage video has to show your face, or can it be audio plus some other visual? Good question. I don't have a statistic on that. I'm sure that there are statistics out there. I've seen a lot of different things. So what I sometimes do with my videos is I start off face to camera just for the intro, and then I go to something that's a little more dynamic like slides and imagery and that kind of thing, because I think a mix is probably good. Like, I want people to see me and be able to connect with me and understand who, like, to kind of put that face to the name, especially where I have a business name versus branding myself, which is a whole other consideration. But I'm not sure that, you know, watching me talk for 5 to 10 minutes would be very engaging. Kind of like when you look at these webinars. Yes, you guys can see me, but you're probably paying more attention to the slides and kind of the content that I'm covering than actually looking at me. But I'm sure if you look up, I'm sure there's statistics on which pages, so you'd be looking for which types of videos keep people engaged the longest, whether that be face to camera, screen capture, or there's other types like animation videos and that kind of thing. Lauren asks, what about the length? So on the home page video, really the first 20 seconds, I do know this, the first 20 seconds is going to be where you want to deliver the most critical information. That's where you're really going to hook them. Beyond that, usually about 1.5 to 2 minutes maximum. Really, the shorter the better. Once you go beyond that 2-minute mark, most people are not going to be watching beyond that. The majority of people are probably not going to be watching beyond that first 20 to 30 seconds, to be honest. Eliza says, I asked the Q and the Q&A. Oh, sorry, I don't have the Q&A open. Let me actually check the Q&A just in case there's other people. Pixeling or showing up on Facebook. How does that get set up automatically, or who do I pay? So good question, Eliza. So look up how to install a Facebook pixel, and it'll walk you through it, because it's a pretty technological process that I probably can't explain pretty coherently now. But basically, you'll sign up for a business account on Facebook. You fill in the information, you fill in the type of campaign you're creating, and there's a lot of ins and outs to like how this all works. But basically, they generate a code for you that you then paste into, if you're using WordPress, into the theme of your WordPress site, and that will pixel people when they come. So there's 2 different types of pixels. There's the universal pixel, which goes on every page of your site, and just pixels people that are landing on your site. And then there are the more targeted pixels, which go on only one particular page, and you actually create, it starts logging what's called a custom audience of people that have only viewed that page. So if I go into my Facebook business account, I actually have custom audiences based on whether people were looking at the blog marketology course, or if people were on the LOBoratory, or if people were looking at our logo design packages. And I can create ads for each of those different segments that will be seen on Facebook to kind of remind them to come back and sign up. You can also have it so that when they have signed up, you put a pixel on the thank you page that kind of triggers it to say, okay, this person signed up, don't keep showing them that ad. So there's a lot of sophistication in how that all works. It's something that I'm still learning. So it's something that we're implementing here at the Land of Brand. I'm going through some courses to be able to start implementing it for clients and that kind of thing. Right now, I'm just kind of want to introduce you to the overall strategy of what that looks like and what the possibilities are. Wendy says, where is a good source to learn more about pixels? Digitalmarketer.com, that website that we were just looking at. They have some really great courses and really great blog posts about pixeling and kind of the ins and outs of how it works, how to do it, and why, what strategy would be behind it. And I see the question. Sorry, I missed that, Eliza. I did not have the Q&A box open. It is open now, and you were the only one that did that, or used that. Perfect. Cool. Any other questions before we wrap up? We're almost right at the top of the hour. Cool. So not seeing anything else. If you have follow-up questions, you can always ask on our Facebook page at the Land of Brand. If you have any topics that you want to see at the LOBoratory, email holly@thelandofbrand.com. I may do something on retargeting once I feel confident that I can teach it. So if that's something that you want to do, let me know. And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. I will plan on seeing you next week at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, and we're going to talk about Trello, which is a pretty neat project management tool that's so easy to use. And it'll help you stay organized as well as organize your team if you are working with multiple people. So I will see you later, and have an awesome day. Bye, everyone.